drink of mine. Mama. Wine for you to drink of wine. Mama. Pass that bottle to me.
What a dream I had last night.
Oh, yes, no, hallelujah, I just love it so.
Now flip, flop, and fly. I don't care if
lights are bright on Broadway. On Broadway.
Call me Mr. Fearful. That's how I got my fame.
Loved a man the way that I love you.
Ahmet Ertegun, founder and head of Atlantic Records, produces a track with the Modern Jazz Quartet. The son of a Turkish ambassador, Ahmet and elder brother Nesui fell in love with jazz as boys in Europe. When the family moved to Washington, Ahmet hooked up with a gang of jazz fans from the bebop generation. Among them were husband and wife Herb and Miriam Abramson. Together, they formed Atlantic Records.
Record production rose to an estimated 325 million in 1947. To help in the build-up had come the public's enthusiastic discovery of swing.
The idea of a record label was born. First releases were jazz records like trumpeter band leader Joe Morris's Beans and Cornbread and Herb's eccentric storybook invention, The Adventures of Bronco Bob. Ahmet and Herb recruited a young engineer who turned his skills from producing atomic bombs for the Manhattan Project to engineering records, Tom Dowd.
Historically, I've always been recording, whether it was sound or even slides. And I go romping through here, and I have a wonderful, wonderful picture. Oh, here's the wild man, Herb, with his third wife and my first wife.
Hi, I'm Herb Abramson. I'm one of the founders of Atlantic Records. Atlantic was born of a collaboration and a partnership between Herb Abramson and Ahmet Ertegun, or we should say Ahmet Ertegun and Herb Abramson, who complemented each other and had the oversight, the understanding of the possibilities of the market to make a terrific company. So in the first 5 years of the company, we had under contract Ray Charles, Joe Turner, Ivory Joe Hunter, Ruth Brown, Laverne Baker.
Miriam, Herb's first wife. The one woman in the organization that did all the dirty work. Herb, Ahmet, yours truly, we never had to yell at anybody about you owe us or send us this and that. They'd be delighted if we asked them. The last person they wanted to hear from was Miriam, and she took care of business.
The idea of the record company was really an outgrowth of the hobbies of all of us. We were all jazz fans. We were interested in jazz, and we thought we could have a company that would specialize in the kind of music that was being largely ignored by the large companies. There were large companies at the time, and very few independents.
Ahmet, the playboy, the daredevil, being an ambassador's son, raised multilingual, debonair, the continental. And here is Ahmet Ertegun, without the beard, with a little bit of hair. It kind of makes you think it's been a long, long, long time. A lot of water going under the bridge, but boy, have we had a ball.
The first Atlantic record that really started to sell was a thing called Drinkin' Wine Spodioti by Granville Stick McGee, who happened to be the younger brother of the blues singer Brownie McGee. In fact, Brownie McGee is singing background to his brother on Drinkin' Wine Spodioti. And that was a record that crossed over into the rhythm and blues market.
Down in New Orleans where everything's fine, all them cats is drinking that wine, drinking that mess, their delight. When it gets drunk, start singing all night, drinking wine, spooty, they drink wine, mop, mop, wine, spooty, they drink wine, mop, mop, wine, spooty, they drink wine, mop, mop, pass that bottle to me.
Drinkin' wine first broke in New Orleans, so Ahmet and Herb borrowed a car and headed south. There, they found acts like blues singer Blind Willie McTell and barrel house pianist Professor Longhair. These signings set the tone for Atlantic's sound of authentic black music.
Wine, spooty, to drink wine, mop, mop, pass that bottle to me. Hoy, hoy, hoy. Wine, wine, wine. Elderberry. Wine, wine, wine. Or cherry. Wine, wine, wine. Blackberry. Wine, wine, wine. Haven't had.
Today, Atlantic is a vibrant label under the umbrella of the Time Warner Media conglomerate. But it was its years as an independent and its ability to challenge the major record companies' notion of popular music that makes the Atlantic story unique.
Atlantic Records is a company with a history, and it's not a history which was preordained by anyone. It's a history which grew out of whatever happened in the many years of its existence. When we started off, I dare say I was the one who wanted to have a record company. I'm the one who got the other people, whoever was involved. Herb Abramson had been making records before. He was my first partner. He'd been making records on a part-time basis for National Records. He produced some quite good records with Billy Eckstein. And I was really intent on making certain kinds of records which, in my mind, would repeat some of the emotions I got from some records I'd listened to in my collection, which gave me thrills. I wanted to make records that sounded like the records I loved, which are like, real blues records. And I thought that I could reproduce that somehow. We had no money, we had very small budgets, and we had to record whatever we could find. The first recordings we made were just terrible. I shudder now when I hear them on these early Atlantic releases. The people in the music business did not understand where the real American taste was. They were making songs for a bourgeois society that they imagined existed in this country.
Since you played the first single, I believe it went top 10 there, this record has just been exploding in Oklahoma City.
The people at RCA Victor, they didn't know shit from Shinola. And they didn't know that I Want to Rock You, Baby had more meaning than I'm putting on my top hat, polishing my nails. It had not a particular appeal to a longshoreman in Seattle or a cotton picker in Alabama.
Picking up each week. And Mike, this is coming off of your airplay.
So we signed up this girl, Ruth Brown, whose idol was Doris Day. I said, no, you got to sing like Miss Cornshucks. And she said, I don't want to sing like Miss Cornshucks. I want to sing like Doris Day. I said, I can't sell any records sing like Doris Day.
Our love would always be. I wouldn't be blue and lonely. Well, if you'd come back to me, every single cloud would disappear. I'd wear a smile if you were here. So, baby, won't you hurry? 'Cause I'll miss you so. And it's raining teardrops from my eyes.
I was verbally assigned to Atlantic Records long before I was put on paper. But I was involved in an automobile accident, and I ended up remaining in the hospital there for just about a year. I was signed to a recording contract on my hospital bed.
But they had the kind of confidence in the fact that they had really found something or someone that in the long run would be beneficial to the label. That when I was released from the hospital, they took care of all of the hospital bills. So when I finally got to Atlantic to do some recording, I was already kind of in their pocket, so to speak.
What's the matter?
Oh, I'm fine.
You glad to be here?
Very much so.
You say that, but you look so downhearted and depressed. Is that old man treating you mean again?
Well, you've never seen a man so mean.
This is enough. I'm going to straighten this guy.
You gonna
I'm going to straighten him out. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh, no, you make it hurt.
Why? I'll straighten it out. I'm going to straighten him out right now.
Well, he went this way.
I know, but I'm going to slip up on him from this way. You tell Mama here.
I'll do that. That I will.
Well, that was 1953 by the time Mama came in. And when Ahmed brought the demo, for some reason, I just wasn't impressed with it. You know, Mama treats your daughter mean. It was kind of crude, you know. But that was one of those times when Ahmed almost insisted that this tune was for me.
Mama, this man is lazy. Almost drives me crazy. Mama, he makes me squeeze him. Till my squeeze don't please him. Mama, my heart is aching. I believe it's breaking. Mama, I thought about all that. I can stand what's the matter with this man. Oh, Mama, treat your daughter mean. Mama, he treats your daughter mean. Mama, he treats your daughter mean. He's the meanest man I've ever
The relationship between the artists and the people who signed us at that time was like a real family affair. I remember Ahmed and her both coming up to Harlem so often and visiting all the places on 125th Street. You know, the Club Baby Grand, or going to Frank's Cafe for dinner, or the Apollo Bar. And on the opposite side of the street, you would find Wells's House of Chicken and Waffles, which is where everybody hung out, you know.
In Washington, in the late 30s and 40s, it was like a southern city, and black people were totally excluded from most of the amenities afforded by the city to the white population. There was total segregation, and it was difficult for us because we had a lot of black friends in Washington, and we had to meet them either at their house or they would come to our house, which was the Turkish embassy then. We started to have these Sunday lunches at the Turkish embassy where we invited the musicians who would usually play on a Saturday night in Washington. We'd have jam sessions, and a lot of very famous musicians played at the jam sessions, such as Rex Stewart, Joe Marsala, famous Chicago-style clarinet player. My brother and I, Nestle, we became friends of Teddy Wilson, Lena Horne, and Duke Ellington, and we put on the first integrated concert in Washington where we had black and white members of the orchestra on stage, people like Lester Young, Pee Wee Russell, Henry Allen, J.C. Higginbotham, members of the Count Basie Band, members of the Duke Ellington Band, and also we had an integrated audience. I felt that I knew what black life was in America, and I knew what black music was in America, and I knew what black roots and what black gospel music and black blues from the Delta that went on to Chicago and the Texas blues that went on to the West Coast. I knew what they were, and I knew all about that, and I loved all of that. So in loving America, I thought I loved something more than the average American knew about.
With the signing of the Clovers, Ahmet had to write them a song. It was his first, and he signed it Nugetri, Erdogan spelled backwards.
Don't you know I love you so? Don't you know I love you so?
When we signed the Clovers, Ahmet sat down and wrote a blues song for them called Don't You Know I Love You. And it was a hit when we put it out, so that encouraged him. And under the sobriquet of Nugetri, which is Erdogan spelled backwards, he wrote quite a few good songs. So as I say, he was hip to the tip, as we say. In other words, he was not a square. He was somebody who understood the idiom.
Clovers are blooming in jukeboxes all over the country. Flowers, you know.
Oh, what a fool I was to think you could love me too. Well, the first time that I met you, you looked so doggone sweet. When you walked down the street, I said you sure look sweet. Fool, 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 and I was to fall for you. Oh, what a fool I was to think.
I wanted to do real hip, funky music. So when I got the Clovers, I said, well, I can't get a song. I started to write songs out of necessity. You know, the publishers, they didn't want to give us anything anyway because they thought the little company was out of a little hole in the wall, you know. So I forced them to record this song. A miracle happened. I was never in my life so amazed. All I could hear was this song blaring out of all these music shops. I mean, the Clovers did not want to sing it, you know. It was forcing soul on the people, you know.
I can't forget you, darling, though I'm left out in the cold. I guess I still love you and will always be the same old fool, 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 that I was to fall for you. Oh, what a fool I was to think you could love.
Ahmet could write a lyric faster than some of the people we hired to write lyrics. You look at the hits that Nugetri wrote. I mean, it's frightening. What we were doing was having a good time. We'd lived through a hell of a time. We'd survived the war and every other fool thing. And here we were finally playing. But we were 25 and 30-year-olds playing. And we're having a good old time making records and telling stories and communicating with people who were not the spoon-fed people that you were accustomed to hearing by the major record companies.
When we were making sessions, in order to demonstrate what he wanted, Ahmet would get in with either the group of singers or talk to the solo singer and show them what he wanted by singing himself. And also, Ahmet would go into Times Square and go into one of these booths where you could make a record and sing words and music.
Hold your baby as tight as you can. Spread yourself out like a fan and mess around. Mess around. Hold your baby.
I'm not a musician. You know, I could write down the lyrics, but I couldn't write down the music. And they had these machines in these arcades in Times Square where you could, you know, put in a quarter and sing or whatever you did, you know. There's a record of me just trying to show Ray Charles how to sing, you know, especially with Ray Charles, who was blind.
Hold their baby and they do the mess around.
You can talk about the pit, barbecue, the band was jumping, the people too, mess around. They're doing the mess around.
We started Atlantic Records with $10,000. It cost $3,000 to buy Ray Charles's contract. And I tried to make Ray Charles make records like we were making hits with the Clovers. But it didn't work with Ray Charles. What we told him was not as good as what would happen if we didn't fuck around with him and let him do what he wanted to do. Because he got his shit together when he got his own band.
Mama, don't you treat me wrong. Come and love me, daddy, all night long. It's all right now. Hey, 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 girl. When you see me in misery, come over, baby, see my feet now. It's all right. I know it's all right now. Hey, hey, hey. See the girl with the diamond ring. She knows how to shake that thing. She's all right now. Hey, hey, hey. Play it one time for me.
Early in his career, Ray Charles imitated Nat King Cole, but when Ahmet gave him a classy, brassy band, Brother Ray found his real voice.
See the girl with the red dress on. She can bird land all night long. She's all right. I tell her she's all right now. Hey, hey, hey. Tell your mama, tell your pa, gonna send you back to Arkansas. If you don't do right. Oh, no, you don't do right now.
Somewhere along the line, Herb had to go back in the military service, and he and Miriam, hoping that they could defeat the process, had a baby. It didn't do any good. Herb still had to go back to the military.
Herb, who had received an education in the Army as a dentist, was redrafted and went to Germany. And we needed somebody to help Ahmet with the recordings, and Jerry Wexler was a friend of all of ours. His taste in music was about the same, so he came in to fill the gap. Then when Herb came back, Jerry remained. Of course, he was a partner. I think at that point, Herb began to feel like he was the fifth wheel on the wagon.
Since I met you, baby, my whole life has changed.
Ahmet and Herb Abramson asked me if I'd like to go to work for them. So I had the nerve to suggest, take me in as a partner. They thought that was hilarious. This could be good. Yeah, for Loopy, please. Is Jerry Wexler returning his call?
He has stepped out to get a bicycle.
A year later, they came back to me and said, you can come in as a partner. Miriam Abramson dumped the mail on my desk and said, go to work. I went to work. It was the top floor of 234 West 56th Street over Patsy's Restaurant. We had one big room toward the front of the office on the street side facing 56th Street. And Ahmet and I each had a desk that was sort of catty-cornered to each other. When we had a recording session, we would move the desks to the wall and we'd put one desk on top of another. And that's where I got some back trouble that lasted me for several decades. And Tom Dowd, our young engineer, the boy wonder, would set up some folding chairs, some camp chairs, and a few microphones. I say few because in those days we didn't mic everything. And after the session broke down, the desks would move back, and it became an office again.
The relationship between Ahmet and Jerry blossomed, and the hits spilled out of the building on 234 West 56th Street. With Herb's return after 2 years military service, Atlantic was becoming a major independent, and Ahmet's elder brother Nesui was brought in to develop a new line in modern jazz.
It's odd being up here again. We had appointments. There was a door here. Actually, this area was where we had the control room for the studio. And this big room in here, which I remember as being much bigger than what it is now, as I see it, we had two desks. my desk and Jerry Wexler's desk. That's right, and Nestle also had an office in the back. I guess that this was the home of the Atlantic Sound. Many historical careers were made here. Recorded Clyde McFadden, the Drifters, Ruth Brown, Laverne Baker, Ray Charles. He made all his first 2 sessions in here. This is the bathroom Ray Charles locked himself in one evening when he was recording. I was worried because he was in there a long time, and so he locked himself in. But he was okay. He had a little fix or whatever, you know, at that time. But it was a great fun place. We had some great moments in here.
The business escalated and the company got bigger. So when I returned in 1955, I didn't want to break up the team that had been working so good together. But then we started Atco Records, and that was like a subsidiary that I produced things on my own. And among the records I made, I did A Tear Fell with Ivor Joe Hunter and 7 Days for Clyde McFadden, and Atco was pretty hot.
If we didn't make a hit record to release next week or the week after, then we wouldn't collect for the record that we sold last month. You had to have a hit in order to collect for last month's record, otherwise you're out of business. You had to be the Bank of America if you didn't have 2 hits back to back. So we were always looking for songs, artists, and make a hit, make a hit, make a hit. Yeah, all the time.
With Clyde McFadden and the Drifters, Atlantic found a magnificent gospel-based vocalist who also gave the company its first brush with the censor.
I need it when the moon is bright. I need it when you hold me tight. I need it in the middle of the night. I need your honey love. I want it when the lights are low. I want it just before you go.
I co-wrote a song with Clyde McFadden. He had pretty much had the format. You're talking about honey love. And it would seem perfectly innocent, almost naive today. But back then, because the words seemed to suggest something dirty, which was sexual satisfaction, this was so shocking that the police chief in Memphis banned it off the jukeboxes.
It's so much fun, I'm gonna get me some honey love.
Imagine being banned off jukeboxes in juke joints where the booze was flowing and the reefer and whatever. To me, it was an honor. It was like being on Nixon's enemy list.
A song by black writer Jesse Stone, recorded at 23456, set a new direction in American music. Jesse's coded lyrics said one thing, while meaning something a lot different.
Wash your face and hands. Well, you get in that kitchen, make some noise with the pots and pans.
The words had to be cleaned up for radio. Jesse's original lyrics were never published as sheet music.
Well, you had old dresses, sun comes shining through. I can't believe my eyes, all of this belongs to you.
I asked Jesse Stone to come up with some material for Joe Turner. Now, Jesse Stone is a prolific songwriter, but he said at this time he merely went into his trunk and picked out a group of blues verses and strung them together, and the result was Shake, Rattle, and Roll, which became a tremendous hit.
They call him Big Joe Turner, the daddy of the blues, and I like to set a tempo sort of like this for him to bring him on. Hey, Big Joe Turner, come on in.
That's crazy, no? Sound off, boys. Let them rock a while. Crazy. Get out of that kitchen, baby. Wash your face and hands. Get out of that kitchen, baby. Wash your face and hands. Well, you big mouth up because I'm such a hungry man. When you wear your hair, baby, look so mellow and fine. Well, you wear your hair, you look so mellow and fine. I can't believe
on Shake, Rattle, and Roll, we needed a vocal backing group, and we didn't have anybody around, so Ahmed and I and Jesse Stone, we just went back to Joe's microphone, and we hollered Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Shake, Rattle. We were the vocal group. I like the line, I'm like a one-eyed cat peeping in a seafood store. I can look at you and see you ain't no child no more. And it says, when you wear those dresses, the sun comes shining through. I can't believe my eyes, all that mist belongs to you. It was about sexual congress. Yeah, it was about a man and a woman making the beast with two backs. But they had to clean them up for radio in those days.
Like a one-eyed cat peeping in a seafood store. Like a one-eyed cat peeping in a seafood store. I can look at you, baby, there you ain't no child no more. Well, over the hill, way down underneath. Well, over the hill, way down underneath. You make me roll my eyes, baby, make me grit my teeth. I let shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll.
Rhythm and blues, as we knew it, was a post-World War II development. And we sort of grew into it with the development of the music. And this was pre-rock and roll. And when the transformation came from rhythm and blues over into rock, we were right there. I mean, we helped pull the baby out. We were the midwives.
With Shaboom by the Chords, the Majors began to take notice of the red and black logo.
Life could be a dream if I could take you up in paradise up above. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream. Sweetheart, hello, hello again. Shaboom, and open we'll meet again. Boom, ding dong, ding dong, a lang, a lang, a lang. Oh, 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 bip, a bip, a dip, oh, life could be a dream.
Our music was segregated music. It was black music for black adults, and it was played on black radio stations. If this didn't exist, then the independent record company would never have had a chance to exist and flourish against the majors.
Rufus Thomas, comedian, DJ, songwriter, and singer, worked at WDIA, the Memphis radio station that broke the color bar.
Nat D. Williams was the first black disc jockey to play music on a radio station in the country. He was a history teacher, my history teacher in high school. When the microphone opened one morning and Nat's voice came out on the air, it was something like never before. The clients who had advertised on the radio station pulled their products off. They didn't want no black man advertising their product. And that was a constant thing for a bit. And then the advertisers found out that there was money in the black market. So, one by one, little by little, they came back.
Tweedly, 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 dee. I'm as happy as can be. Jiminy crickets, Jiminy Jack, you make my heart go clickety-clack.
When it became apparent that this black music had great potential commercially for sales, it was an opening for the entrepreneurs to take the black music, cover it, record it with white people, copy it literally, and then put it out on the market. People like our engineer Tom Dowd, as a freelance engineer, going over to Mercury Records or MGM and recording the same song with a white artist, and our record would be on the turntable in the control room to get the exact key, the exact beat, the exact cadences, and to copy the record as closely as possible. One of the most famous examples of that was Shaboom by the Crew Cuts, covering our original record by the Chords, or the Chord Cats as they were called. and they really wiped us out.
Shaboom, and hoping we'll meet again. Oh, life could be a dream. If only all my precious plans would come true. If you would let me spend my whole life loving you, life could be a dream, sweetheart.
People never knew Joe Turner made Shake, Rattle, and Roll before Bill Haley. People never knew Laverne Baker made Tweedledee before Georgia Gibbs. People never knew a group called the Chord Cats made Shaboom before the Crew Cuts. If Laverne Baker did a session last night, day after tomorrow, Monday, I'd get a call from Mercury Records. Can you be in the studio? And we got to do 2 sides with Georgia. And they're covering the sides that just came out with Laverne. The only thing is they're using different backup singers and different conductor and arranger. Just make it sound the same, only different guys, you know.
The 2 compelling factors that transcend, race and prejudice are music and money. Because the color is not black or white, it's green.
And now I want one big, gigantic ovation for a lady who, in my estimation, has been leading blues singing for many, many years. A lot of popular singers have copied her, and today she is, well, first and foremost in the blues field. Laverne Baker.
Jim Danny rescued me, fell in love with her the very same day, got engaged that afternoon, left that night on his honeymoon. Jim Danny got married, love Jim Danny, love Jim Danny. Jim Danny gave me a kiss, fought a line with his 2 bare fists, swam the ocean in a suit of steel, with a sign saying my love is real. Jim Danny got married, love Jim Danny, love Jim Danny. Jim Danny got married.
Today, with the passage of time, those cover records are looked upon as absurdities. I mean, who cares about Pat Boone doing a Fats Domino record? It's Fats Domino that counts. Who cares about Bill Haley? The original record has persisted, at least in the consciousness of the public, if not in the sales. It's a rare example in our commercial culture of art winning out over commerce if you wait long enough.
Jim Danny was a nickname Dan, luckiest cat in the whole of the land. Love me so well, it seems. In a month, she was plumb insane. Jim Danny got her married. Love Jim Danny, love Jim Danny.
If you go with the notion that black music is the hallmark, it's the gravamen of our culture. Although it was parochial and it stayed in the black community for decades and maybe for centuries, and it didn't come out, when it finally did emerge, it captured the sensibility of the whole world. And Elvis Presley was the annunciator, he was the messiah, because he was the funnel that taught the white world the joys, the euphoria, and the pleasures of black music.
Elvis Presley, a poor white teenager, sang in a country hillbilly blues style. When Ahmet heard his early son recordings, he made a pitch to sign Elvis to Atlantic.
I noticed at one point that we were getting royalty checks for some of the songs that we published, and we're getting royalty checks from this little record company who were recording some of the same songs with a white singer named Elvis Presley. And I listened to the early Presley records and I thought, well, here's a guy who really is unbelievably talented and a great singer and who understands black music. So we went after him. So we offered $25,000 for his contract. Colonel Parker asked for $45,000. We didn't have $45,000 in the bank, so I couldn't sign him. But he signed with RCA Victor for $45,000.
The Major's ability to outbid him for Elvis convinced Ahmet that in order to survive, his label needed a firm foothold in the mass white market.
splash, I was taking a bath. Long about a Saturday night, yeah. Rubbed up, just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright. Well, I stepped out the tub, put my feet on the floor. I wrapped the towel around me and I opened the door. And in a splish splash, I jumped back in the bath. Well, how was I to know there was a party going on? There was a splishing and a splash, reeling with the feeling, moving and a grooving, rocking and a rolling. Yeah!
We had a roster of maybe 20 black performers, and we were going along very happily in a modest way when Bobby Darin came into the picture.
Bing bang, I saw the whole gang dancing on my living room rug. Yeah, flip flop, they was doing the bop. All the teens had to dance in fun. There was lollipop with a Peggy Sue.
Ahmed went in and recorded the song Splish Splash, which I must admit I thought was utter garbage. This was our entree into the big white picture, the pop picture.
The Wheel of Fortune.
Herb's role at Atlantic became clouded. He'd had no success with Darin and was ready to drop him from the label before Ahmet stepped in. This, plus the strain of Herb's failing relationship with Miriam, finally took its toll.
Listen, what happened, you know. That's water under the bridge. I left because of differences with my partners where we didn't see eye to eye or get along well. So I sold out and I started my own operation. That was a mistake, but that's what I did, you know. But I want to say that I'm proud to have been the co-founder of Atlantic Records and to set its tone, encompassing the mystique that it has as a label.
At a certain year, Herb left the company voluntarily. And Ahmed and I, we brought Nesui into the company. And of course, it was one of the great moves that really elevated Atlantic Records into an all-around eclectic record company, because he developed one of the great jazz lines, you know, of all time.
Ahmet's late brother Nesui had been the real jazz connoisseur in the family. His signings helped the company claim its share of the new market for long-playing records, while also widening its profile and stature.
In the first call, okay. All right.
Memories of You, take one. Take two. Really what propelled me the most toward this avocation of jazz music was my older brother Nesui, who was more than a fan. He was a critic and eventually taught the first course ever given for credit in America on jazz. It's a very unusual thing. I reflect on it. Now you can become analytical. There's a crazy collection of eclectics. I mean, here's Ahmet Ertegun, who's a jazz fan, the way American children still to this day collect Batman cards and Superman cards, baseball and football cards. Ahmet Ertegun and his brother Nesri, when they were in Turkey and when they were in Europe in school, were staying up nights listening to BBC radio and jazz when they were 10, 11, 12, 13. They'd sneak a radio into bed with them in 1936, 7, and 8 and listen to jazz. The company was blossoming, and we were becoming a full-line record company. And our jazz
division was growing in leaps and bounds, and we had some of the greatest recordings made by Coltrane. So it was a great time.
Nestle had since joined the company and was doing nothing but jazz. The best album that I have had the pleasure of being a part of making, the Genius of Ray Charles album, which we had done in 1958-59 on Atlantic Records, where we had the Ray Charles band playing along with the Quincy Jones arrangements of the Count Basie and Duke Ellington bands. We'd put an enormous group of bands together and had them all playing simultaneously, the first Genius of Ray Charles album.
Ray was the complete recording artist. Ray took gospel music and put the devil's words to it, and he started something which is just routine today.
Hey, everybody, let's have some fun. You only live but once, and when you're dead, you're done. Let the good time roll, baby. I'm in the good time now, and I don't care if you're your own baby. Get yourself together and let the good time roll. Don't sit there mumbling, talking trash. If you want to have a ball, you got to go out and spend some cash and let the good time roll, baby. Ah, let them roll tonight. I don't care if you're your own now. Get yourself together and let the good time roll.
We had a relationship with the people we recorded that we thought was a very personal one. And then somebody like Clyde McPhatter left. Bobby Darin left. At one point, Ray Charles left. We were really stunned and hurt personally. I don't think it hurt us in a financial way so much because at that time we were beginning to grow and we had a lot of other resources. But on a psychological and a social level, it was very hurtful. And I'm still sore at Ray Charles for having left us. I really am, because I thought it was very, very unfair. And I thought he could have stayed with us and we could have done for him what anybody else could do for him. But I mean, that's all water under the bridge, as they say.
As the 50s became the 60s, the creative emphasis shifted from singers and musicians to writer-producers, and Atlantic signed the best hit factory of the time, Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller. Leiber and Stoller's writing skills for Elvis and the Drifters are legendary, but their early success as a team started with the Coasters on songs like Smokey Joe's Cafe, Poison Ivy, Yakety Yak, and the double-sided hit Young Blood and Searchin'.
Bring her in some good. Gonna find her. Well, now, if I have to swim the river, you know it. And if I have to climb a mountain, you know it. And if she's hiding up on a blueberry hill, am I gonna find a child?
Blues music appeals to a large part of the black population, and from that came then the doo-wop period. You know, the doo-wop period was a much more urban, more sophisticated form of music than the blues had been.
Doo-wop quartet solos scrape a living from songs by the legendary Drifters. Under the Boardwalk, Up on the Roof, On Broadway, Save the Last Dance for Me. The number of hits recorded by the Drifters during their long history was matched by the number of fine lead singers who drifted in and out of the lineup. They made the Drifters kings of uptown rhythm and blues. One drifter who went on to have a successful solo career under Ahmet's guidance was Benny King.
When this old world starts getting me down and people are just too much for me to face.
I first met Ahmet when he was in the studio and he was explaining to us that we had to go in to do the first recording as a new set of Drifters. Matter of fact, I wrote a song called There Goes My Baby for that same recording. It happened to be a song that Jerry Wexler hated but Ahmet liked, and he thought it was going to be a hit. Also, it's the kind of song that, from what I've been told, is the very first R&B song to have strings on it.
There goes my baby, moving on down the line. Wonder where she is bound.
In true Drifters fashion of interchangeable lead singers, Charlie Thomas mimes to Benny King's vocal.
There goes my baby. Whoa, there she goes. Yeah, I wanna know if she loves me.
Charlie Thomas couldn't learn the words to the song, so Ahmet had pushed the button and said, "Look, Benny, you sing the song." Up to that point, I wasn't a lead singer. I was not intended to be a lead singer. And from that time to now, whenever I think about how my career started, I often look out and I see Ahmet's face. I say, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be in this mess.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me.
Stand By Me is a song that I wrote to give to the Drifters, although I wasn't in the group anymore because I had an argument with the manager and he threw me out the group. I think the reason that I more or less sung the song the way everybody feels that I had a lot of personal involvement in the lyrics and it was sad to hear the expressions that I was doing with the song was basically because I was not the one that had made plans to sing the song. I was upset because the Drifters wasn't singing the song, and secondly, I was upset because I have not yet heard the song done the way I want to hear it, and that was by the Drifters. And I think that was the pain and the suffering that you heard in the voice as I was doing it. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, no, I won't be afraid, no, I won't
be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me, stand by me. Cheat a little bit, I won't do all of it.
We place such an emphasis at Atlantic Records on bel canto, on great ability, on a Joe Turner who could have been an opera singer with that beautiful, great, big, rolling, tumbling voice of his, of an Aretha Franklin who is the diva of all time, the black diva of all time, of a Ray Charles, of Solomon Burke, who a friend of mine once said, we were talking about who the best soul singer was, and it was suggested Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, Wilson Pickett, I forget who else, but he came out with the line. He said Solomon Burke with a borrowed band, because Solomon never had his own musicians.
And I need, in the morning, baby, when the sun goes down, ain't nobody around, sugar. Oh, listen to me. Sometimes I feel a little sad inside. My baby mistreating me, and I get a little mad, but I need you.
Jerry Wexler, the father of soul. And I can say that truthfully because when we came to him with the idea of soul music, he says, I don't know. Rhythm and blues is where it's at. He says, it's going to be hard breaking into this soul thing. Is that what you really want to do? I says, you've got to do it. You got to help me do this. And he says, all right, how do you want to do it? I says, can we put on my album rock and soul? He says, it may not help, but it may hurt. I says, can we do it? He says, you got it. So we released an album with rock and soul, the king of rock and soul. And that's the beginning of a lot of the movement, a lot of the word soul music, the soul movement. People would ask me why and how I would sing country and western songs and ballads and things like that. And with the feeling and the expression, we were the first black artists to ever have a country and western song that was played nationally on radio and television and to ever reach the charts.
Just out of reach of my 20 yards.
Me having the first country and western record, we had crossed the color barrier, and it was a very exciting situation to see these things happen in the early 60s.
Feeling all the time, knowing you could not be mine. Dreams that hurt me in my sleep, vows that we could never keep. So far away from you, get on your charm.
Just out of reach of my 20 yards.
Atlantic Records has certainly opened their doors and minds to a lot of new things. There'll always be a red and black label, and when people pick it up, they'll always remember that there was an era called soul that still exists.
Sometimes you tell me, oh, I'm your sweet kitten man. Then sometimes, baby, I just never know where I stand. Never know where I stand. You can lift up, man. Slavery's over with. When I'm on the ground, soon as I get it done, child, you send the tone down. Oh, your love is like a seesaw. Your love is like a seesaw.
Out of the political and religious movements of the 60s, Jerry Wexler signed soul acts like Wilson Pickett and Pretty Boy Don Covey. He helped transform Covey into a great soul songwriter with hits like Seesaw and Mercy, Mercy. Jerry's success was achieved by taking Covey and his other artists to Memphis. It was the dawning of the Atlantic Stax era.
I would say a lot of the soul people, they recognized one thing, that they had gospel music and they had soul singers who was converted gospel people. Soul is, it's like it's a vibe. Some people say vibe, some people say spirit, some people say groove. You call it many different things, but it's the reaching of the spirits of touching, almost like a minister. You're touching the spirits that's in the audience or out there. And that was the soul of the music that was taken further. And then when it came to the South and they crossbreed, and it became the Stax and the Atlantic type of sound.
A converted cinema in a poor neighborhood of East Memphis was the down-home base of Stax Records. Jerry struck a distribution and recording deal with its founders, Jim Stewart and his sister Estelle Axton. It was an inspired move, and what attracted him was the simplicity, power, and funk of the Stax House Band, Booker T and the MGs.
Steve Cropper, guitar player with Booker T and the MGs, and now presently with the Blues Brothers Band. We were very happy about doing what we were doing. We were very pleased that we were able to help bring people up and get them a career going and get their lives started and help them do things and express themselves. And unlike any other area where there was no place to take your songs, there was nobody to listen or audition. You'd send tapes off and you'd get a letter of no thank you or that kind of a thing. You know? And there was a big gap between a place like Atlantic Records in New York City and a little bitty studio in Memphis, Tennessee. There was a big gap there, you know. There was just no place for people to go. And somehow, during that time, Stax was able to fill the dreams of a lot of people.
Relationship with Stax grew, and we started to record a lot of our artists down there. And Jerry was instrumental in cementing our relationship with the Stax people. And Stax had some of the greatest success with artists who were contracted to Atlantic directly, like Otis Redding and Sam and Dave, whom Jerry and I first heard in a black club in Miami, where they were singing one of the songs that I'd written.
Stax's studio in Memphis has long gone. The communication between Jim Stewart and Jerry Wexler broke down, and Stax went its own way, eventually into bankruptcy. But for half a decade, the collaboration between the two independents bloomed. Their first national success was with Gee Whiz, a song by Carla Thomas, Only Sweet 16.
But if it were not for Mr. Stewart and this lady here, it would be no Stax. Just right here, standing here, it's a real good feeling to see her. I was just driving by, I saw her standing here, I said, who is that witness actually in our house? Then I started working for the record shop. Then I had a group called the Mad Lads. Well, we were the Emeralds then. And she had a song on the radio that was by Little Anthony Imperials. I'm on the outside looking in. She said, if I had a group that could sing it like that, I'd sign them tomorrow. So we went home and practiced at night, and we did it for her in the record shop the next day. And we got to deal with our first record, Sidewalk Surf. It all was like
so many
magic.
things.
Yeah, it was really like magic.
Sam and David's coming in for a session. Okay, David comes in the front door, but he's got to go to the bathroom before he goes down to Isaac, join him. And so when Isaac threw up his hand, David says, hold on, I'm coming.
And that's how the song got started.
That's how the song was written.
It came from the streets. It came from everywhere but the streets. This was a place where you had a chance. Otis Redding was a roadie.
That's what I was telling you.
With his guitar wrapped up. He never played it much, but he was great. He walked in the door.
I've been loving you too long to stop now. You were there and you want to be free. My love is growing stronger as you become a habit to me. I've been loving you too long, and I don't want to stop now. Can you do that one more time, Al, just like that? Do it just one more time, one more. With you, man, life has been so wonderful.
Otis Redding could probably say, baby. That baby, the way he said it, maybe 200,000 or 300,000 records. The feeling, how to take that word out of the dictionary and say, okay, let's make them really get into it. And it's a part of your expressing your insides, bringing that out, but bringing it out and making the community or the people or the audience feel that that's me.
Have mercy. Have mercy, baby. Have mercy. Have mercy on me. Well, I went to see a gypsy and had my fortune read. She said, darn, your baby's gonna leave you. The bag is packed up under the bed. I cried, have mercy. Have mercy, baby. Yeah. Have mercy.
Black Panther Party, the organization like Anthems to be written by the people down the path of social revolution. You dig it?
The socio-economic impulse that gave rise to this had a lot to do with what you would call the rising aspirations of the ghetto, the passage of the Civil Rights Act, and of course it caught the rising tide of Martin Luther King and all of that good hope. A whole roster of new singers sprang up along with this to deliver this pop gospel. Wilson Pickett, it was a shouter from the church.
I'm gonna wait till the stars come out. See that twinkle in your eye. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. That's when my love begins to shine. You're the only girl
me, boy. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. My life from tumbling down. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. That's when my love begins to shine. Just you and I. Just you and I. Just you and I.
Well, contribution-wise, I think Jerry Wexler was a real inspiration to all of us. Like in the midnight hour, but I had a guitar rhythm going, you know, a complicated, intricate thing, you know, trying to show off, I guess. And Jerry says, no, that's not the way they do it, you know. And he started to look like he was kind of shadow boxing. We kind of made fun of him. He looked like a boxer, you know, kind of shadow boxing. But what he was really trying to show us was this new dance that they were doing up in New York called the jerk, this kind of thing. And so we started just kind of mocking him, and Al and I got into this thing, and we started putting this backbeat, this sort of delayed backbeat, watching Jerry dance around the studio. And that's the rhythm on Midnight Hour. It's still there today.
It was a real challenge. Develop a new towel for Kotex that fits better. After all, the better it fits, the better it protects. But how? The answer was staring me in the face. Make it curved. Women are. It's the first towel to be soft and gently gathered, designed to fit the body for real protection. The new Simplicity Curved Towel from Kotex.
Well, good morning, Posty. Thank you. You know, you ought to relax a while. Here, see how the thick Cadbury's milk chocolate melts into the dreamy caramel. I love birthdays, don't you? Take it easy with Cadbury's caramel.
Hello.
In case you hadn't noticed, the weekend started 2 hours ago.
Thank you for telling me.
And I have just ordered a martini extra dry.
So we're liquid then?
Over ice.
Sounds cool.
And if you're not here in 10 minutes...
Right. Leave it with me.
Martini. It's going to be an extra dry weekend.
It's no good. I can't find it, Ron.
What's that, Ron?
The free sugar in these sugar-free clarets.
Clarets. Great-tasting, sugar-free mints.
Clinamin has Polynam to remove stains gently every day without harsh abrasive action. Clinamin. No stains, no problem.
That Gladys Oldthorpe, she never buys her own.
Boddingtons, the cream of Manchester.
Now, I made some dosh from Nick the Greek with a load of dodgy plates. And I'll make some more with liquid gold, because they've such high interest rates.
Years ago, a drop of water began a journey, and a child began her journey. While she perfected her skills, the water was purified in the mountains, and the water finally became Evian. It takes time to be Evian.
Watching, waiting, desiring. Sharon Stone.
Watch this.
I felt that there was a wave of new music coming in. At that time, the Sonny and Cher made a territorial hit for Warner Brothers Records. Somehow, they called me up and they said, look, we're not getting along with Warner Brothers Records, and they overlooked picking up their option, so they're free. So I signed up Sonny and Cher, and our first record was not only a territorial hit, it was a nationwide hit, and it was an international hit. I've Got You, Babe. And then I started to sign up the new wave of rock and roll bands like Vanilla Fudge and the Young Rascals, the Buffalo Springfields, and within that group, 3 great guitar player-singers, Richie Furay, Stephen Stills, and Neil Young, which eventually led to Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, and Atlantic was rolling.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Once you get off your phony eyelashes and falsies and your girdle, take off your girdle and your false eyelashes and your false tits.
There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. I think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
It's strange. I remember my being involved with a song called For What It's Worth by the Buffalo Springfield, and my being very sensitive to how intelligently the protest was being delivered in the lyric of the song. Now, not too many people would pick up a newspaper anywhere in the United States and see a bunch of kids are getting shook down on the streets of Los Angeles at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night because they're holding up traffic or because they're jumping cars or something like that. But that's in essence what the song was about. And here's this whole underground of young people who can't find in the newspaper things that are vital to them, but they can find it on a record.
Paranoia strikes deep into your life, it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop. Hey,
you see, we're talking about a time where there is a musical fusion process going on. Black is white, white is black. Gospel and jazz are becoming rock. Rock primitive people who only know 2 or 3 chords aspire to better things, and not knowing it, are learning to play jazz scales or play with gospel feeling. And all of a sudden, here's this whole new ball coming out, this whole new explosion. It's not all stand in line, aisle and file. This is jazz, this is black, this is white, this is pop, this is that. No, it's all one big ball of wax coming together. And because of its coming together, there's got to be another explosion, and then like 10 tangents, and here we go again. A whole new series of creative processing going to start.
She's some kind of demon that shit is not true. If you don't watch out, it'll stick to you, to you. What kind of fool are you?
Ahmed had started to commute London and Los Angeles and signing the different acts, like Cream. So Ahmed called me up and said, there'll be a group here tomorrow. They've got to be on a plane at 7 o'clock Sunday. That was the first Cream album. That was Disraeli Gears. We started on a Thursday at 11 o'clock, and when the limousine driver came in the studio Sunday at 5 o'clock and said, I'm looking for a group, I said, they're ready. And the 3 guys got in the plane, and they were gone. And we did the album in 3 days. All right. So that started my association with Eric Clapton.
Cream's success encouraged Atlantic to sign more British bands. Dusty Springfield, recording in Memphis, tipped Jerry Wexler off to a band being formed due to Eric Clapton's departure to Cream. hard rock and heavy metal were just a power chord away. They became Led Zeppelin.
Killing what's inside of you.
As the late 60s had arrived and the whole sort of West Coast scene had developed in America and the British invasion had taken place, that their dealings had really been with Cream, with Eric Clapton and Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker. But also they had been developing the career of Buffalo Springfield, which to me, I'd had a real big lean towards Buffalo Springfield and towards the work of Stephen Stills and Neil Young. And so the whole idea of our first efforts being taken over there and being looked at by or listened to was great, I was really proud. And the fact that we were signed up by them was amazing. And the fact that I got £8,000 was even more amazing. So it was the beginning of an incredible relationship, and that was 1968. We knew that Atlantic had come out of all the great sort of jazz and rhythm and blues, and that they'd had this great sort of thoroughbred catalogue and great taste, which was always the credible side of popular music.
Woman, way down inside you.
Keep it coolin', baby. Keep it coolin', baby. Keep it coolin', baby. Oh, push it, push it. Ooh, give it to me.
Pretty naive and young at the time, but the idea of anything being taken to Atlantic and being perused and looked at and viewed by such moguls was quite a daunting thought process. You had all this kind of thing moving all the time, and Atlantic were always able, by whatever means, from what I can glean, but by whatever means they managed to capture some of the hottest stuff, even if they were doing a deal with Stax or they were having a little thing here and there. They were always, for us in England, the label said that it was going to be good. You didn't get any crap.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've had nothing to live for, and look like nothing's gonna come out.
Otis Redding's Dock of the Bay was one of the last great Atlantic Stax sessions before the relationship soured. Jerry headed further south to Alabama's Fame Studios, where the house band, the Muscle Shoals Rhythm Section, had a similar drive and groove to Booker T and the MGs. Here, he recorded more classics, including Pickett's Mustang Sally, and the first big hit for the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin.
Mustang Sally. Guess you better slow your Mustang down.
Jimmy Johnson, David Hood, Barry Beckett, the Muscle Shoals Rhythm Section. It started rolling really well. I was really young, not quite sure of myself, and drummer, and sitting there playing on either Mustang Sally or one of those songs, Land of a Thousand Dances, and Jerry comes up to me and he says, "Roger." I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "You are a great drummer." And no one ever told me that I was a great drummer before. And I'm thinking, my God, this man has told me I'm a great drummer. That probably made me a great drummer for a while, you know, just because he said that. Well, he helped put the area on the map. When you started hearing the Mustang Sallies and the Land of a Thousand Dances and the Aretha Franklin and all that, he made those records here in this town.
I'd been watching Aretha Franklin on Columbia for many years. It was almost a dream of mine, a notion that I'd like to sign her up for Atlantic Records. As far as how to record her, just keep doing more or less what we had been doing with our rhythm and blues artists, to let this sound emerge and be heard and not try to make it palatable to a wide audience. Just let it out. So, with attention to being meticulous about those matters, but at the same time, getting into the depth, the soul of the artist and letting the music be heard, the idea was to record her with great musicians and put her at the piano and let her sing and play for herself.
There's profusion of studios in Muscle Shoals. Fame Recording was the original studio, and that's where we recorded Aretha Franklin on the first Atlantic recording date.
The first song that I recorded with Atlantic Records was in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and it was I Never Loved a Man. Atlantic was a very hot label when I signed with them. I had been with Columbia prior to Atlantic Records for 5 years. I had not had a hit during my stay with Columbia. What I had was what they call turntable hits. I got a lot of airplay and a lot of critical acclaim, but no hits.
We bring it even or we going which way are we doing it?
Most of the material was very stylized, and I think that made the difference. Mr. Wexler usually wanted to know what it was I wanted to do, and then he would submit things, and we would have long listening sessions, and usually dinner at his home sometimes. And thereafter we would make our selections.
The first and the second beat. The third time you make the first, second, and third beat.
In your will to the light. Precious, 'cause you're precious, Lord. And I know you'll reach out and take my, you'll take our hand. You'll lead us home. Because when the way and the wind's drill right now. But all we need is you, Jesus.
With the death of Martin Luther King and the white backlash that came after the Civil Rights Act, soul music seemed to be extinguished all at once. The Stax empire went down, Otis Redding died, Sam and Dave's record ground to a shuddering halt. Solomon Burke left the label, Don Covey left the label, Benny King left the label. And I had a very funny feeling in my bones when we were in the height of all of this. I even told them, I said, I have a strange feeling that we're going to come to the end. Maybe things were just accumulating, little details. The whole picture changed. And rhythm and blues, which had been the mainstay of Atlantic Records, it was not only subordinated now by white rock music, but it actually was virtually exterminated.
Mick, you gotta finish this record. This record's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great record. We're gonna put all our resources behind the record. But listen, the promotion, forget the promotion. We don't want to spend money on the promotion, but just have a big fucking party and promote the shit out of the party, and that'll sell a record.
Okay, no.
To them, it wasn't just a can of baked beans, you know, which is like, unfortunately, a lot of record companies treat everything. You know. They get rid of it, make it and get rid of it. And we had 3 more tracks that we needed for an album. And I think we were playing in Florida. And we had to get to San Francisco to do what turned out to be Altamont. And everybody was saying, where can we do this? We won't be able to get to New York or LA from where we are. And then everybody said, what about that great room that they cut all the soul stuff in? You know, they just, yeah, what's his name? Ah, Muscle Shoals.
I met Ahmed in the 60s with Phil Spector, and he already was a sort of semi-legendary figure. I always liked him. We had this long contract with Decca Records, so when we were shopping around for a new Rolling Stones record deal, he was one of the people that wanted to sign the band. I mean, at least 3/4 of it, Rolling Stones sort of thing rests upon various forms of R&B and so on. So we had those obvious rapport between him and us.
Because like when they're coming out,
stop, boom.
Yeah, but that's there. It doesn't come until the solo.
No, I know.
You got the move.
We've written these 2 new songs, Brown Sugar and Wild Horses. And Ahmed was there also, because Ahmed was around on that tour quite a lot. And there was Jimmy Dickinson, and he played on Wild Horses, played tap piano.
It's easy to do. The things you wanted, I bought them for you. I know I've dreamed you.
It was great to be able to work a room, be able to go in and actually do what you wanted to do. And I mean, this is a funny area, Florence, Alabama. That I went in to cut 3 tracks, and they came out great. Tom Dowell was there, and I mean, I remember the Snakeskin. These guys, I mean, they created a record company, and they loved what they were doing. They let the artists have enough room to be able to show themselves. I think that was really their masterstroke.
Wild, wild horses, we'll ride them someday.
Well, I guess it was really new for them to sign rock bands. Atlantic was still thought of as an R&B label. Ahmed had always been involved in that kind of music, but I think he wanted to branch out of the R&B thing into more mainstream kind of rock and roll, which had become to a certain extent respectable, and was also selling albums, because R&B music really didn't sell albums, and this is the beginning of the period where rock and roll was starting to really make money and really sell millions of albums. And a lot of these R&B acts, they had hit singles, but not all, but a lot of them never really sold albums in the millions. And then quite soon after that, Atlantic was taken over by Warner's.
As we became larger and a lot of people wooed us with the idea of buying us, personally, I felt it was wrong. If you're asking about how a woman felt, I felt that if we were absorbed into a large company and computers were starting to go, my job, which was on an individual level, would be over. On the other hand, I thought it was a very bad idea because I thought the company was just going to get bigger and bigger. I never thought it was going to fail. But it was bought, and it was bought for what is today a ridiculous amount of money. I still think it's a mistake, and probably the people who are in favor of the purchase also think it's a mistake.
Lawyer, you're always on the run now, running after somebody. You gotta get him somehow. I think you got to slow down before you start to blow it. I think you're headed for a breakdown, so be careful not to show it. You really don't remember. Was it something that he said? All the voices in your head calling Gloria.
I couldn't be comfortable being a subordinate. But those are the dues you pay when you're not an owner anymore. You're an employee. And people perceive many differences between me and Ahmet Ertegun, but basically we are very similar about the experiences we shared and the empathy we had for the music and the trials and tribulations of early recording, of going on the road, of nurturing this business, this little record company, and of having tremendous laughs. Ahmed used to say one of these days we're going to laugh our way out of the record business because it was so much fun. It was especially fun because everything we put out would hit. I mean, it was an amazing time there in the 50s and part of the 60s where every record sold. It seems like an impossible thing, but there's nothing like success to keep you smiling.
Atlantic wasn't Atlantic anymore. Music business had changed drastically. And I was on a corporate merry-go-round. It was like you were a Band-Aid for wherever the hell they needed you. So I just kind of backed off and figured I don't want to have too much more to do with corporate. I'd rather be alone. Today, I make a very caustic comment about the people in the record business. There are too many people running the record business today that if I say I need a note, they think, how much money do you want? What interest do you want to pay? They don't know a banknote from a note on a staff of music. And when you say note, the first thing that occurs to them is monetary. We're in the music business, guys. Give me a break, okay? Everybody that I talk about in those early days in the music business, Ahmed, Nesri, Jerry, Bashka Menon, Herb Alpert, all of these people could read, write music. They could sing. They could play something. They knew what the hell they were doing.
I have to say that if my then partner, Ahmed Erdogan, had not exploited this area, I don't know if the label could have existed. And it was Ahmed's foresight and his vision of what this music could bring that really made Atlantic from a little Tiffany, a specialty company doing interesting jazz, funk, rhythm and blues, into a global giant.
When I came to America, I already, had a vision of a strange land, which included Indians, cowboys, gangsters, jazz musicians, beautiful black women dancers, and movie stars. And it was a very mixed idea of what America was. Teşekkür ederim.
Bir şey değil.
Bana biraz kahve sıcak değil mi?
Evet beyefendi.
Lütfen bana şeker getirir misin? Teşekkür ederim. Basically, I loved the country and began looking for the things that I originally thought were in America, and eventually I found jazz, I found black music, and I finally got to see what America was really like. In the very beginning, I was really motivated by my love for the music and the desire of making historically important recordings, as well as recordings that people would want to buy. I think that we eventually began to achieve our aim, which was to make some records that would survive the test of time.
Don't play that song for me, 'cause it brings back memories of days that I once knew, the days that I spent with you. Oh no, don't let it play it. Oh no, it fills my heart with pain. Please stop it right away. 'Cause I remember just
So that's the never-before-told secret of how Atlantic was born.